And my goodness, Angel Reese fans are furious. Now, he's got a clip out there on with Jeff Teague on a podcast.
A comedian has just set off a major wave of drama in the WNBA. Charleston White's comments about Caitlin Clark pushed stars like Brittany Griner and Angel Reese into full defense mode. However, it's what unfolded afterward that truly caught everyone's attention. The resulting backlash has brought a much deeper problem within women's basketball into the spotlight. The WNBA community is buzzing following White's viral appearance on a podcast. This isn't just another routine sports controversy. While speaking on the Club 520 podcast, White didn't simply compliment Caitlin Clark. He ignited a firestorm that is now exposing growing division.
Talking. The aftermath reveals a deeper issue in women's basketball.
My sports supporters. Well, we're going to talk about this Charleston White Club 520 podcast situation involving NBA player Jeff Teague. And, of course, they're all sitting around BSing. Charleston White is a comedian, and he's very damn funny, but he is also not afraid, like any good comedian, to roast or destroy.
Let's unpack what really went down on that podcast because the background is important here. White, who is widely known for his blunt and uncensored comedy, began by talking about Clark's influence on women's basketball. He highlighted how she has attracted millions of new fans and viewers to the game. However, the conversation shifted when he started comparing her to other standout WNBA players. The episode, which has now surpassed 3 million views, soon became about much more than Clark alone. White's remarks about Brittany Griner, in particular, sparked strong reactions. He brought up her time in Russia, making jokes that many
In women's basketball.
Good comedians do. They're not worried about anybody's feelings. They literally go out there and crush. And that's what Charleston White did in this clip that went mega viral. I saw somebody asking, why would you have this guy on this podcast? Because it got 3 million views, this one damn
Let's
clip.
break down what actually happened on.
However, his supporters insist that this is precisely what comedians are known for doing. They test limits and make jokes about everyone without discrimination. On the other hand, critics believe she is portraying herself as a victim after being targeted by a comedian's remarks. The situation escalated further when Las Vegas Aces point guard Sydney Colson publicly addressed the issue. She went beyond criticizing White alone and instead condemned the entire podcast for giving space to what she described as uninformed and sexist opinions. Her post quickly gained momentum among WNBA players and supporters, with many agreeing that the comments had
Found crossed the line.
Like you know who Juju Watkins
Man,
is?
we need our OnlyFans WNBA game. Just then I tune in, but I ain't finna watch them long leg women run up and down the court with them, with
the knees?
Yeah, man, with them knees, them hot knees, them ain't no knees.
Shorty from the 20 verse 1, she played the W with the long knees. The long ass arm, she'd be a good defender.
Yeah, man, you know what kind of money, and I heard they don't make a lot of money over there either.
It's coming, man.
Yeah,
it's on the way. It's gonna get better.
And that's I think
Give him a chance, Chuck. Give him a chance.
that's the dope thing about Caitlyn too, because regardless of the scrutiny they put on her name, every time she's came out and spoken publicly, she said, "Hey, I'm good, but we need to push the league." And like you said, she did a lot of vocal stuff that helped a lot of black women in the process, man.
She did? Oh yeah.
She pushed the narrative to help a lot of people get paid, despite a lot of.
Brittany Griner did that. I thought Brittany Griner did that.
He's a motherfucker.
Coming out the
real BG. The real BG.
Coming out the Russian prison.
Yeah. Did you see that motherfucker with her shirt off at that pool party?
But his supporters argue.
This is where the story took an unexpected turn. Online users began investigating further and uncovered something Colson likely hoped would stay buried. A tweet from January 2023 resurfaced in which she had compared a women's basketball player to a male movie star, using humor very similar to the jokes she was now condemning. As always, the internet has a long memory, and this find completely shifted the narrative. Accusations of hypocrisy quickly followed. Screenshots of her past posts spread rapidly next to her recent criticism. Many highlighted the contradiction. How can someone call out certain jokes while having made nearly identical ones before? This discovery redirected attention away from White's remarks and toward a broader conversation about credibility, fairness, and staying consistent in public discourse. Angel Reese's reaction added, yet another intriguing dimension to the situation. Instead of responding to White's statements head-on, she reposted an older message advocating for the protection of women's sports. The timing of that move...
That's why. Now, it went viral because of Angel Reese, and, she's reposted some old April post about protect women's sports. A lot of people are speculating, does that have to do with this interview? Who knows? Maybe she's actually taking a stand against dudes in women's sports. I'd commend her if she's doing that. Hats off to you, Angel Reese. But some people think she's playing the victim because of a comedian roasting her on a...
The controversy really kicked into high gear when Las Vegas Aces point guard Sydney Colson decided to speak out. She didn't just criticize White. She called out the entire podcast for platforming what she termed ignorant and sexist views.
Her fans reacted instantly, with many rushing to defend her and some even demanding legal action against the comedian, an idea that only intensified the backlash. Jeff Teague, one of the podcast's hosts, stepped in to calm the situation. He released a statement clarifying their connection with Rhee, saying, "She's good people. We see her like a little sister." However, his effort to control the narrative failed to slow the viral spread of White's remarks and the heated discussion that followed. The response from WNBA players has been especially revealing. While some chose to remain publicly quiet, they subtly showed their stance by liking posts that criticized White. Others were far more vocal, openly addressing the issue. These mixed reactions highlight the complicated space where comedy and professional sports collide. This incident closely resembles other recent controversies surrounding women's basketball. Only a few months ago, Shaquille O'Neal faced heavy criticism for comments about players' clothing. A clear pattern is emerging. As women's basketball continues to grow in popularity, it is drawing increased mainstream commentary, including humor that sparks debate. Supporters of White argue that such jokes actually signal progress, claiming comedians only target what truly matters. They also note that NBA players endure similar comedic scrutiny without widespread outrage. The timing of this controversy is especially important. With Caitlin Clark entering the WNBA and attracting record-breaking media attention, the league is facing an unprecedented spotlight. Players and league officials are still learning how to navigate this heightened exposure. Social media has played a massive role in escalating the situation, turning what began as podcast commentary into a broader conversation about respect, humor, and...
Vegas Aces point guard is all been out of shape, and unfortunately for her, this didn't go well because some people called her out while she's trying to play all high and mighty over this podcast for some previous Twitter post that she put out about a Iowa Hawkeye player.
Every tweet, reply, and resurfaced post keeps adding new layers to this unfolding situation. One of the most fascinating aspects is the clear generational split in reactions. Younger fans largely align themselves with Rhee and Colson, while longtime basketball followers tend to defend White's freedom to joke, even if they personally dislike the punchlines. This divide highlights how differently each generation views humor, accountability, and public figures. Mainstream sports media has been noticeably cautious. Outlets appear torn between covering the controversy and avoiding further amplification of remarks many consider offensive. That hesitation has ironically become part of the broader discussion, exposing ongoing discomfort around how women's sports are handled in major media spaces. White, for his part, has shown no signs of retreating. Instead of apologizing or softening his stance, he has leaned into the backlash, continuing to make similar jokes in later appearances. His argument remains consistent. Comedy should have no limits, and athletes, regardless of gender, are valid subjects for satire. This position has further fueled debate. Meanwhile, the podcast hosts are navigating unexpected territory. Their platform has exploded in popularity, but they are also facing criticism for enabling controversial dialogue. Their attempt to strike a balance between entertainment value and social responsibility reflects the larger struggle modern media faces in an era of instant outrage and viral moments. The controversy has reignited broader conversations about where comedy and sports intersect. Should athletes be considered off-limits for comedians? Does increased fame automatically come with harsher scrutiny? There are no clear answers, only growing debate. Within the WNBA itself, the response has revealed internal dynamics. Veteran players like Diana Taurasi have remained silent, while younger athletes have been far more vocal, reflecting evolving attitudes toward public criticism and self-advocacy. Financial stakes add yet another dimension. Clark's arrival is projected to bring record-breaking revenue to the league. Some argue that with higher earnings comes thicker skin and acceptance of commentary, including jokes. Others counter that financial growth should never justify disrespect. This tension sits at the heart of the discussion. Professional comedians have also entered the conversation. Several have defended White's right to joke freely while acknowledging the sensitivity surrounding women's sports. They point to comedy's long-standing role in challenging norms and provoking discomfort, even when it sparks backlash. Marketing experts are watching closely. Clark's growing list of endorsements and and Grindr's brand partnerships raise questions about how sponsors will navigate such controversies. Corporate responses or silence could set new standards for future athlete endorsements. The podcast's skyrocketing viewership underscores a harsh reality. Controversy drives engagement. What began as a routine episode has transformed into a cultural flashpoint, sparking debates about sports, comedy, and the role of social media in amplifying conflict. How the hosts manage the fallout may influence how sports podcasts handle sensitive topics moving forward. As more players and personalities weigh in, the narrative continues to evolve. Each new opinion adds complexity to an already layered discussion about respect, humor, and the future of women's basketball. With the WNBA heading into what could be its most-watched season ever, this incident feels like a preview of challenges to come. At its core, this situation exposes a deeper issue within women's basketball that often goes unspoken. As new stars like Clark draw unprecedented attention, players are divided on how to engage with the spotlight. Some welcome it entirely, while others resist certain forms of attention, and this controversy perfectly illustrates that split. White's remarks about Griner struck a nerve, but not solely because of the jokes themselves. Beneath the surface, the real issue is how women's basketball navigates mainstream visibility. The Shaquille O'Neal incident earlier this year offers useful context. Shaq, an insider and legend of the game, faced backlash for his comments, but White's status as an outsider complicates matters even further. Timing plays a critical role. Clark's entrance into the league has ushered in a level of exposure the WNBA has never experienced. Every joke, critique, and offhand remark now travels faster and farther than ever before. Social media reactions reveal telling patterns. Younger audiences often demand immediate accountability, while veteran fans draw parallels to how male athletes have endured similar treatment for decades. This generational divide reflects broader shifts in public discourse. The resurfacing of Sydney Colson's old tweets highlights another modern reality. Nothing ever truly disappears online. Past comments can reemerge instantly, forcing everyone involved to confront their own histories while judging others. Interestingly, not all reactions are negative. Some see this moment as evidence of the league's growing relevance. Comedians usually target what's culturally significant, and the WNBA's inclusion in mainstream humor may signal progress rather than regression. Sponsor silence has also been telling. None of Clark's major partners have spoken publicly, suggesting that brands believe neutrality is the safest strategy. Jeff Teague's attempt to ease tensions only further illustrated how interconnected the basketball world has become. Angel Reese's indirect response, resharing past messages about protecting women's sports instead of addressing White directly, demonstrates how savvy athletes have become in navigating controversy. Her approach sparked further discussion, proving that silence and subtlety can be just as powerful as confrontation. Comparisons to other leagues offer perspective. The NBA's long-standing relationship with comedy shows how roasting eventually became normalized. The WNBA may simply be experiencing that evolution at a much faster pace. Calls for legal action from some fans reveal misunderstandings about comedy's protections in the public sphere. Historically, attempts to censor or litigate jokes tend to backfire, only amplifying the original message. Perhaps most notable is how this is affecting Clark before she has even played a professional game. As the emerging face of women's basketball, how she navigates moments like this could define her career trajectory. Traditional sports media's focus on reactions rather than original comments shows how outlets are still adapting to controversies born online. Add in international audiences, and the conversation grows even more complex, shaped by differing cultural norms around humor and criticism. Looking ahead, this controversy may ultimately benefit women's basketball by increasing visibility and forcing necessary conversations. Growth is rarely comfortable. The support shown by several NBA players signals shifting attitudes and growing solidarity across leagues. In the end, this is about more than a comedian's joke or a player's response. It reflects a sport in transition, grappling with its expanding place in mainstream culture. How these moments are handled will help shape the public image of women's basketball for years to come. Whether this leads to greater caution or normalization within comedy remains uncertain. One thing is clear: